Good morning. Good morning. How are you? I am there we go. Wanted to find myself here on Facebook, make sure we're live. Hello, happy Thursday. Welcome back to the EQ Skills Clinic. We didn't have a skills clinic last week because we had a pretty amazing 5-day event instead. So as I'm jumping on, I would love for you to let me know if a couple of things. Let me know if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay. I'd love you to let me know that. Good morning, Krista. I would love to know if you have had an opportunity to actually participate in the 5-day event. Have you had a chance to did you catch it live? Did you watch the replays? Did you binge watch all 5 days of training? We even had a bonus day of training this past Tuesday. So I want to know if you had a chance to watch the 5-day event, Unlock the Success Habits of High-Powered Women. I almost say this every single time, but this one was definitely my absolute favorite 5-day training to deliver. The conversations that we had, the transformations that we saw were really, really powerful. So if you haven't had a chance to review that content and that teaching, it is still available for you. You can reach out to my team and we will make sure that we get you all hooked up with the recordings and with the workbook. We have a few new faces around here as well, so let me introduce myself. So first of all, you're inside of the EQ Lab, the Emotional Intelligence Lab. This is a private Facebook community simply for high-powered women who really want to learn how to leverage emotional intelligence so that they can communicate fearlessly, they can master their emotions, and elevate their relationships. And I am the founder of the EQ Lab. My name is Dr. Shyamala. I'm a podcast host, media expert for national television, the founder of the Kiru Psychotherapy Clinic, as well as the Kiru Coaching Clinic, where we deliver my passion project, the EQ Code. The EQ Code is a 6-month coaching program specifically for women who really want to take their emotional intelligence skills to the next level so that they can experience success in every part of their lives. So that's who I am. And today what you're engaging in is what we call the EQ Skills Clinic. Lots of EQ around here. It's a bit of an obsession of ours. So the EQ Skills Clinic is your opportunity to work with me on a weekly basis, completely free of charge, where I can teach you, train you, and coach you on different skills related to emotional intelligence. And we know that emotional intelligence is the strongest predictor of our success. And around here, we're pretty interested in it. We're pretty interested in emotional intelligence. So as we talk through emotional intelligence, we look at emotional intelligence across 4 different areas. We look at the mindset skills or the emotional mastery skills of emotional intelligence. We look at the communication skills, the relationship management skills, as well as the leadership skills. Today, we are going to be focusing specifically on mindset skills, or another way to think about mindset skills is emotional mastery skills. So as we get started, I'd like to ask you a question that I really want you to think about, okay? Have you ever caught yourself thinking to yourself or telling yourself that you know for sure, with certainty, what someone else is thinking? Okay? Do you ever find yourself focused really heavily on what someone else might be thinking? Perhaps it's what they're thinking about you. Perhaps it's what they're thinking about a particular situation. Perhaps it's, a decision that they're making. But do you find yourself focused on and fixated on spending a lot of time thinking about what other people are thinking? Maybe you find yourself fixated on or focused on or thinking about how other people are feeling. Is that possible? Does that resonate for you? What about this? Do you find yourself thinking about, focused on, really fixating on perhaps the choices that other people are making? The choices, maybe other people's actions, maybe it's other people's behaviors. I want you to really ask yourself this question, because the response to this question for you is going to have a really huge impact on your ability to master your mindset and to master your emotions. So, what we know is that one of the greatest contributors to our stress, the stress that we feel, the pressure that we might feel, the overwhelm or the anxiety that we might feel, is the tendency and the habit of fixating and focusing on what others are thinking, feeling, or doing. Okay, I'm going to say that again because I really want to make sure this stays with you. What I'm going to teach you today and what we're going to talk about today is probably the single greatest skill that I have personally learned, and the single greatest skill that I have taught my clients, that really does unlock the most transformative aspect of freedom that they have experienced. Okay, so today we're really talking about how do we free ourselves from some of the traps, some of the patterns of thinking that can really, really get us stuck. And it's fascinating when I do work with women inside of my private program. I work with some pretty incredible women. I have to say that. Let me say that right off the bat. I work with some real powerhouse women, some pretty incredible, high performing, high powered CEOs, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants inside of the EQ code. Like, they are absolutely amazing, right? Very smart, very brilliant women. And when I have this conversation with them and I share with them, and I ask them this question that I asked you, do you find yourself fixating on, thinking about, focusing on, and even worrying about what the people in your life, the people that matter to you, maybe the people that you love, maybe it's your team, maybe it's your boss, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your children, maybe it's your parents, but all the people in your life, the people that actually matter to you, that the people that sort of create an emotional reaction or an emotional activation for you, do you find yourself really focused on what they are thinking, how they are feeling, and the choices that they are making? So I want you to remember this sort of trifecta, right? Do I focus on what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing? And if you are like any of the women that I have worked with, then the answer to that question is yes. The answer to that question is yes. Yes, I find myself thinking quite a bit about, what is my partner thinking? Or I cannot believe, my mother made that choice. Or I cannot believe my adult child is living in this way, or whatever it is. But most of the clients that I work with, like, I really should say all of my clients, they will tell me that they find themselves fixated or stuck even in focusing on what other people are thinking, feeling, or doing. They get fixated on the choices that they're making. They get fixated on the lack of progress that other people in their life are making. They might get fixated on the fact that, listen, I've learned this really powerful skill around emotional intelligence. I know that boundaries are healthy, and I understand that communicating assertively is the only way to communicate. If you've been hanging out with me for any length of time, you probably believe some of those things. And instead of doing our own inner work, instead of elevating our own emotional intelligence so that we can respond differently to these situations and these scenarios, what we do instead is actually the most disempowering thing that we can do is we fixate and we focus on what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing. Those things that don't align with us, we focus on them. And not only do we fixate and focus on what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing, we actually try to fix what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing. We actually try to fix what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing. I wonder if that resonates for you. And fixing is not always obvious. It's not always covert. It's not always direct. Like, let me help you with this problem. Let me help you fix the way that you're thinking. Well, you shouldn't really feel, badly about that. Let me give you another way of thinking about it. It's not always obvious. It's not always direct, right? Sometimes fixing is very covert. It's beneath the surface and it's passive aggressive. So let me give you a really, really common example that I see. Okay. A lot of the women that come into my world and begin learning about the power of emotional intelligence and how important it is and how freeing it is and how, this is really what creates healthy balance, healthy boundaries, healthy relationships, all the things. They become really excited about this material. They get really excited about what they're learning and how their life is changing and how they're able to actually master their emotions. They're able to communicate assertively. They're finally learning how to set boundaries. They're so excited about it that they also want the people in their lives to change. They also want the people in their lives to catch on to this excitement and to catch on to these skills and to really kind of go on that journey with them. In an ideal world, we would all be on this journey together. We would be tracking together, right? In an ideal world. The reality is that we each come to this work when we are ready. Every single one of us. We come to this work when we are ready and when we decide that it is the work that I need and want to do. Okay? I'm talking about the deeper work. I'm almost always talking about the deeper work. Okay? We each come to this work when we are ready and when we make a decision and a determination that we are going to do the work that is necessary for us to become the woman who can really embody her goals, who can really embody emotional intelligence, who can really embody the desires of her heart. What we cannot do ever, ever, ever is coerce, push, manipulate, convince another person to do the work. We can never do, and we should never do that. We should never be trying to push our work, push our passion, push our understanding, our enlightenment, our awareness onto another person. Ever. It is such an ineffective way to navigate relationships. It's such an ineffective strategy in terms of managing your own mindset. And in fact, when we get trapped in this tendency to focus on and fixate on what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing, there's actually a fancy term for it. Okay, we explore this concept in a much deeper way inside of the work that I do, but the name for it, the term, is mind reading. Mind reading, right? It is, we fall into the trap of mind reading when we tell ourselves that I know exactly what's wrong with my partner. I know exactly what my mother needs. I know exactly what, my boss is thinking. I know exactly what's wrong over there. And I can fix this. I can fix this. And as women, I think in particular, we tend to take mind reading to the next level when we not only focus and fixate on what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing, but we also want to fix what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing. I'd like you to ask yourself if this is something that you get stuck in. Do you get stuck in focusing on, fixating on, really worrying about what other people are doing, and then taking that and moving into this position of wanting to fix it? And then what happens is we've got our personal power out there, right? We've repositioned, redistributed our personal power, and we've put it in a place that is actually incredibly disempowering. We've put it into the hands of other people. And that is very, very disempowering. Okay. The most empowering thing that you can do is actually hold on to your personal power by shifting your focus, right? Shifting your focus to you. Okay. Your greatest point of impact, your greatest point of change, your greatest potential for transformation is with you. And I deeply believe that it should be with you, and it should not only should it be with you first, that your first initial point of contact for change and transformation should be with you, but I also believe that it should remain with you, right? That change over the long term, evolution over the long term, personal growth over the long term means that we consistently hold on to our personal power by focusing on us, by doing our deeper work. And the more we do this and the longer we do this, the easier it is for us to detach from what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing. That doesn't mean we detach from them. It doesn't mean we don't love them. It doesn't mean that we don't care deeply for them. But what it does mean is that our presence inside of those relationships change dramatically. Our presence inside of those relationships change dramatically. Why? Because we are appropriating our power in the way that it was meant to be. Our power lies with us, doing our deeper work, focusing on our own thoughts, feelings, actions, behaviors, choices. We continue to do the work of embodying emotional intelligence, right? Of really feeling that and getting that radical transformation. And we allow others to be on their own journey at their own pace. Okay, we detach from the outcome. We detach from the need to fixate on and to fix other people. That's the ultimate goal of really overturning this particular thinking trap, which is called mind reading. And there's a whole bunch of other traps that we fall into as well when we focus and we fixate on other people. So I hope that that has inspired you. What I want to leave you with are 3 ways that you can overcome mind reading in order to personally develop a more balanced perspective. Okay. The first thing that you can do is begin to seek evidence. Seek evidence for what you are thinking, right? When you tell yourself, I'm sure this person doesn't like me, or oh my goodness, that person just doesn't want to be around me, or that person doesn't respect me. What you want to do is actually take the role of a truthful judge, right? That's one way to think about it. And you want to collect an equal amount of evidence, both for and against why you believe someone has a negative thought about you. So seek evidence. The next thing you want to do is find balance. You want to identify a balanced, neutral verdict that incorporates only specific factual proof, not one that is based on interpretation or assumptions. Okay. So you want to find a balanced thought, a balanced perspective. Then the final piece, which is actually the most important piece, is to keep practicing. We know it takes about 60 to 90 days to really reroute our thinking, to reprogram our thinking, right? So make sure that you're patient with yourself. Make sure you're kind to yourself throughout this process. And if you find yourself slipping back into this thinking trap, just know that you're normal. That's perfectly normal to find yourself falling back or slipping back into this thinking trap. Okay. And just identifying that you're falling into the trap of mind reading in and of itself really is half the battle. So those are my 3 tips in terms of how you can come out of or get unstuck from the trap of mind reading. But the most important, the most empowering, the most powerful thing that you can do is to consistently hold your focus on your own growth, on your own development, and on your own work. I'm going to just shift now to talk to you a little bit about some of what came out of the last 5 days. The last 5 days of training that we did inside Unlock the Success Habits of High Powered Women. We learned some really, really powerful concepts. And many of you have reached out to me and have reached out to my team just to go a little bit deeper, right? So if you've had a chance to watch, amazing. If you haven't had a chance to watch that training, we are going to keep it up inside of this group at least until tomorrow. Reach out to my team. We'll make sure to get it in your hands. As you watch that training, if the concepts, if the teaching resonates for you, okay, if it lands for you, and if you learn something during that teaching that really causes you to think that you would like to go deeper with this work, I want you to know that we have enrollment open for the EQ code. We still have enrollment open. We still have some space inside of the EQ code, which is my 6-month coaching incubator for high-powered women who really want to leverage emotional intelligence. This is about leveraging and embodying the skills that allow us to master our emotions, communicate fearlessly, and elevate our relationships. So if you want to learn more about what it would be like to work with me inside of this program, I discussed it in the last couple of trainings inside Unlock the Success Habits of High-Powered Women. So you can certainly learn more about that there. And if you're ready to take the next step, if you'd like to know what it would be like to actually enroll, then you can book a call with me. My team is going to drop a link here so that you can actually book a call with me. We can jump onto Zoom. I can assess where you're at now and help you determine if the EQ code is the right next step for you. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back next week, Thursday at 10 a.m. for another EQ Skills Clinic. Have a great day.